Hi, everyone. So excited to be here again, especially with my special guests, Beverley Glazer and Lori Highby. And I'm so excited because we continue to bring so many insights to the show. And chat's wide open. We depend on chat to help us. That's over to Beverly, and Beverly can share a little bit about herself for those who don't know her and who already enjoy what's about to happen next here. So, Beverly, why don't you share a little bit, and then we'll swing it over to Lori.
Sure. First of all, hi, Lori. Hi, everybody. And if you come in on Tuesdays, you know that it's the Women Empowerment Hour. And so we have usually women, but we're always talking about empowering women. And it can be in many, many different directions. I'm a coach, I'm a therapist, I have many, many hats, and communication is one of the things I do. By the way, you can always find me on reinventimpossible.com because I help women who have difficulty not only communicating, but to just get those missing links between their professional and their personal lives. And today, as we're talking about communication with a real communication digital expert, you name it, okay, on the online space, we are now adding communication from the human level to the bot level, to AI level, to chat level. You name it, we have a level for communicating. And there are different ways of communicating in all media. Marketing is one of them. And then we understand marketing, and we understand also that marketing is 24/7. Just open up your email and you're going to be hit with something else, and someone else is going to sell you something, et cetera, et cetera. So, one of the things that we do is we block that communication. Immediately, there is a distrust. And we carry that distrust because the human animal survives literally because we do not trust. It's our existence. And so we have to check it out. We have to see, is this real? Is this not real? So the whole idea in conversation, and that can be any conversation, is to be authentic and to ask questions and to communicate without anger, without emotion, because you may be wrong, believe it or not. So, what you have to do is get the understanding of the other side. So, I love this topic and I'm really interested to meet you, Lori. And yeah, let's hear what you have to say. Welcome.
Yeah, Don, Beverly, thank you so much for having me on the show. Loved the information that you just shared around communication. I'm the CEO and founder of Keystone Click. We're a strategic digital marketing agency. We help our clients build brand awareness and generate leads online. We do that by first conducting research because we believe in order to market to your customer, you have to understand them. And that's all about getting the right message, putting it in the right spot at the right time. Communication at its finest, right? So we take the data and the insights we collect, we build a strategic plan, and we support the full implementation of that. Everything from social, web, paid advertising, and marketing automation and media production.
That's great. It's so nice to kick it off with so much value that we have learned with experience. So, Beverly, what was your key to turning the corner on communication and how you do your outreach with your podcast and your posts? Uh, for you.
Okay, just to tell you, I don't know if it's my system, Dawn, but your sound keeps on going in and out. So I don't know if it's me, but right now I am hearing you. I'm catching it, so it's it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll sign in and out, see if that helps.
okay. Well then, okay, we will just continue. Yeah, I believe the question was, how did I get into communication? Yes. Oh, he will be back. I trust him. He will pop right back. Yes. Okay. There we go. We trusted you, Dawn, to come back. Yeah, your question was, how did I get into communication? You mean digitally, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. I've gone in from the human level, as a therapist, to working online, coaching, and everything else, putting out digital products, putting out coaching products, et cetera, et cetera. And I did have to learn the language of marketing. I did have to learn the language of well, it really is marketing. That's just it, really. And because I love learning, I dived into everything: business, communication, copywriting, you name it. I have done it, and I do it with a passion, and I've learned it. However, I cannot do everything. And that's something else I learned, because if you believe that you can do everything online, you are seriously mistaken. So my strong suit is really delivering what I do and helping people on many levels to get the results that they want. However, if I didn't know how to communicate and to get the people that know how to do what I want to say, then I would be spinning. So I advise everybody to understand what marketing is, to understand what communication is, to understand. And this is why when Lori says, I want to find out what your needs are, for me, I think that's really important. And it's the same thing when somebody comes to me. It's why. Why have you come to me? What is it about? And of course, it's never the main reason. There's always something underlying. And so it's for, whether it's a marketer or whether it's someone from like myself, to ask the questions, to get to understand what the needs of, and in your case, it's the client. And in my case, I don't even want to consider my clients. We really work so closely together to get what they need. But the bottom line is to communicate and to understand. And so for me, I had to learn the marketing language. I'll tell you, I get turned off by a lot of the marketing language because it doesn't speak to me. And so all my marketing has to really be the essence of what I do and who I am. But there's so many different levels of marketing, and I think we all have to understand it. And copywriting, and now there's AI that helps us out,
Mhm.
and we have to watch that as well, because it can help a little bit too much, and the human element is the most important thing, I do believe. And so to understand what marketing is and what sales is, and I hate that word too,
Mhm.
because everybody loves to buy, but nobody wants to be sold to. And so someone that's a really good marketer isn't the one with the bells and whistles that are going out there saying, buy it, buy it, buy it. Those days of the Fuller Brush salesman are gone. Okay. And so what we have to do now is to understand the client, understand the needs, understand what people want. And that takes communication. That also takes time. That also is to know, love, and trust seriously
Mhm.
who you're dealing with, because you're going to get in your inbox, as soon as you just click on one thing, let me tell you, all the algorithms are going to get together to give you sales, 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 sales. So this is why I think we all have to be wise to marketing. And it's taught now in schools very early, because kids are out there too. So like, what is the real deal? Is this weight loss concoction going to work? And to understand sales and marketing, and how easily we just succumb to those happy pills, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, for me, I had to learn it.
Well, those are great insights, and I hope everybody's taking notes today. Also, want to recognize the audience.
Yeah.
Carrie's here. I told a hacker joke, but he just snorted and said it was crackable.
Oh,
So good for you, Carrie, starting off the show with some humor. Zoom party. Omar is here. Omar is a good friend, and
Morning.
so happy to see Omar. He supports the show, and I support his shows, and he does so much. What's your thoughts on what's happening now today, Lori, as far as AI and communication that's changed in 20 years?
Yeah, AI is definitely having a big impact on, I mean, not just the marketing space, but all industries are having some sort of impact with AI. From a marketing standpoint, it's really interesting what's happening, especially around the topic of communication here, because I don't know if you've observed this, but I can tell if someone's just drafting something from AI, copy, paste, publish on social media. It's very obvious. And so then, Beverly, as you were talking about, people need to know you and love you and trust you. You're losing that trust because there's no authenticity there at all when you're just using that copy paste. So, AI, there's a lot of opportunity to create efficiencies and help us to save time. But I think we have to take into consideration our true selves, and what our brand voice is really important to incorporate and make sure that it sounds like you and it's genuinely and authentically you, as opposed to just being the robot or the machine, crafting the message. So I'm a fan of leveraging AI for ideation and inspiration, but I would not recommend using it as a true copy and paste type of situation, because for those that are using it, it's flat. There's no personality. And there can be some value in the content that's being created. But another thing to point out is you still need to verify and validate the information, because it is not 100% accurate. And I think that's a big mistake that folks are making right now.
It sounds good. I guess there's still a little bit of echo. Really?
Yeah, yeah, there is a little echo, but I could hear you. You're not going in and out, Dawn. It
Okay,
seems to be.
sounds good.
Yeah.
I can always go out and come back again, try that again. Well, Beverly, I'm so excited by your progress and growth in communication, especially your podcast. Why don't you share a little bit about your podcast, and so
Thanks.
people can hear of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Beverly's got a show too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go first then. You.
Okay. My podcast is Aging with Purpose and Passion. And what it really is about, everybody, is wonderful stories. It's stories of comeback, stories of challenge, stories of women who, no matter what, keep on fighting and keep on going higher and higher in the process. Because my focus really is women over 50, who have been told that they are done, women who in the workplace feel that they are done, women because of society start feeling, you know what, I'm getting too old, or I have to retire because I feel worthless. So all these women are just, they blow me away, literally. And this is why I love to do it. Not to mention, I think we're in the top 10% also of for all the podcasts out there for women empowerment and aging, and I just absolutely love it. And I encourage everybody, Aging with Purpose and Passion, whether you're 50, whether you're 20, they are great. And it's like just a 20, 30 minutes of fabulous stories. I love it. And yeah, it's my passion.
Well, that's
Thank
great.
you so much
So,
for allowing
Lori, why don't you share what you do outside of what we're talking about today?
Yeah. So I do have two podcasts as well. The first show is called Social Capital, and I've had that one for, I want to say, close to 8 years now. And I've interviewed professionals globally on the topic of networking, which is all about, communication and building relationships. And I would say, after interviewing close to 400 individuals, I've come down to what I call my three rules of networking and building relationships. And the first one is to be your true authentic self, because people can smell fake. It's quite obvious when you're not being your authentic self. The second one is to give first. And I think that's where you start to establish that they like you and you're starting to build that trust. And the third one, and I think, all these are important, but this one is extremely important, is to actually follow through and do the thing that you said you're going to do. Even if it's as little as, I read an interesting article and I'll send that to you. Make sure you actually follow through and send that article. Because that's where that trust is really being created. And it's that kind of first initial stage of setting and building the tone of the relationship. So that's called Social Capital. And the other podcast I have is called A Broadcast for Manufacturers. It's myself and two other broads, and we talk broadly about manufacturing. we're on episode 51 right now, which is really exciting. So we've been doing this for a little over a year, and we cover and talk about all things related to manufacturing. And we really like to kind of stir the pot a little bit because typically, historically, manufacturing has been a very male-dominated, blue-collar type of space. And so when we're changing it up, we want to say, hey, women can do awesome things in manufacturing, and not just women, but all different, genres and folks can really do some amazing things. So we like sharing those stories of what's happening in the manufacturing and industrial space.
Wonderful.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Don't hear you.
Yeah, that's so interesting, Lori, because no one would have known unless we would have inquired. And what it does show is how much experience you have. I mean, 400 guests, that's a lot of conversation. That's a lot of personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found is if you do this enough, you become who you're with to some extent. So I'm always repeating things that Beverly said and I picked up. It's like comedians kind of taking each other's jokes to new audiences. And it's a lot of fun as to the smiles and the laughter we're having right now. And I think building community is so valuable.
Oh, for sure.
When you have a platform, because the more you make it about them, the more you look better and feel better. And it's all about promoting others, leveraging numbers, especially when they're aligned and relevant. And everybody can learn so much because there is something to diversity. I agree wholeheartedly on authenticity. There's that saying, time will either promote you or expose you. And there's no hiding here. Everybody sees you in the moment. And it really tests everybody's mettle to see how you respond to something you never anticipated, but it makes it for more fun and energy for the audience. So, Beverly, how do you create quality, energy, and harmony when you're doing your podcast and shows like this?
Oh, that's easy, Dawn. Okay. It's easy, first of all, because I'm sure you do exactly the same thing, Lori, is I have agencies and people that send me guests, etc. But I'm not just filling the podcast weekly, although they are filled. But I take the time to interview each guest, and I want to get that story. So it's not only about selling books. It's not only what's in it for them. It's what's in it for the audience, and the audience is really the story. And telling your story so that the audience can identify, because we're all human. We've all gone through hero journeys. And a lot of us come out, we don't feel like much of a hero. We feel like a real battered warrior. So what it is the stories are important. And what I want and what I look for is a woman that has a story. And a story that they can tell, and in an authentic way, and not fear their authenticity, because I think that is the most important thing. So to your point, Dawn, it excites me to talk to these people every single week. It excites me. And I do it lightly scripted so that we do have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that is really the way we roll. So for me, it's just as exciting to do the podcast as it is the work that you have to do after the podcast and before the podcast. But it is. I enjoy it, and that's the thing. Everything that I do, and I mean absolutely everything, whether it's the grunge work or part of doing a business, it's not all fun, let's face it. Okay. But it has to be done. And some things I enjoy more than others, like serving my clients. That's my strong suit, and that's what I love. But I also have to be on top of the marketing, and I have to be on top of the people that are helping me, and they're my assistants. And so it's all part of team, and I have to be the one to do it because I'm the driver. So, to complain And to even say negative things to yourself, like, oh, it's another day and I have to do this and I have to do that, serves no one.
Mhm.
So it's the attitude. And although it's, yes, my Thursdays when I do, sometimes come into your group, Dawn, or sometimes, it's every week it's another podcast or having to get the script out. It's work, sure, but everything is work. But there's value in it, and to get comments back is really the reward. And I don't know about you, Lori, but I have refused sponsors. I say, because I'm waiting to really develop it, to make it really something, rather than having all this little piecemeal money coming in. It's not
Mhm.
about that. It's really about serving the audience.
Mhm.
And so for me, yeah, I have the passion to just get up in the morning, because it's another day. Let's just handle that, right?
Yeah.
One at a time. And that's how I roll.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I don't have. I mean, it's just my company that's sponsoring, the shows, and that's more, just a platform to share authentic messages. The
Of
Social
course.
Capital Show. I'm like you. I like to really showcase the guests and really let them tell their story, and that's all about that networking and building relationships and sharing. I think that's extremely important to be an advocate, and
Yeah.
really help them, get their message out there to a different platform.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. What have you learned, Lori, over the 400 episodes? What are you doing now different than when you started?
I changed the format a bit. I used to have really structured questions. And I found that it was fun and interesting initially to hear how different guests would answer the questions. But let me tell you, asking the same questions 400 times, not recommended. So now I put a lot more emphasis on the guests, and I have a couple questions that I like cycle through. But one of the really fun things that I started doing, and I don't typically give my guests the heads up on this. I mean, if they've listened to this show, they'll know that it's going to happen. But I give them the opportunity to ask me a question as well, which is really fun. It puts me on the spot, kind of gets me, on the tip of my toes and excited to kind of provide value or answer, whatever they want to ask me. So and my guests seem really excited about that every time I give them the opportunity to ask me a question.
Well, I believe that involvement and interaction is so important because it is what's in it for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? What justifies their time, effort, and resources to not only be here, but to come back and hopefully share that with others and continue to expand the audience and amplify your reach. So Beverly, good to know what Lori's doing, and what is it that you're focused on going forward?
I'm not hearing you, Dawn. What
Okay,
was that?
I'm saying, what are you now focusing on going forward to make continue improvements into what you're doing?
Okay, I'm constantly making continuous improvements. I think that if you don't grow, you die, and so for me, it's it's not only to serve more, but to get more of my programs out there. So I'm working on that. I'm working on getting a lot of more programs on a lower level out there to be able to serve more people. Because right now, I do custom coaching primarily, and it's on a very high level. So, and I also do group, which is on a lower level, of course. But to be able to do the digital would be able to bring that out a lot more for a lot more people. And so that's the focus that I'm on. But seriously, I just keep learning all the time. And the more I learn, the more I grow. And the more I grow, the more my company grows. The more I help people, the higher they grow. So it's just like we're all weeds here. That's what I say. And so this is really what I'm doing and what my focus really is. And so it's marvelous. That's all I can say. And when I'm going back to podcasting, or what we're doing right now, which is live communication.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing is we are being authentic, talking among ourselves in a conversation, communicating. And what happens is the people that are listening to us are judging. They're judging not only what they hear, they argue, they don't, or maybe they just turn off or whatever it is. This is what our world is all about. We have so much access to all kinds of communication.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that we really have to choose what we want to do. I mean, I started a podcast basically, Dawn, because I had a radio show for 5 years. I didn't know anything about podcasting. Goodness knows, I knew nothing about the technology or anything that you had to do with it. But with COVID, I said to myself, no, I always wanted to do this. And so what I did was similar to when I was on radio. That's where the scripting, semi-scripting comes in,
Sure.
because the important thing is not to just ask the questions. The most important thing is to bring out the guest. And it is a conversation back and forth. But the technology I knew nothing about. But like you see with your groups, Dawn, as well, you can only do it by doing it. Okay.
Mhm.
And falling on your face. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And before I even got anybody to do the forms and have the people fill it out, I'm sure you've gone through all those growing pains too, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
It is a process, but you have to say, do I want to do it? If the answer is yes, then you have to put yourself out there. And when you put yourself out there, it's messy. And it's very messy because we have no editor here. Look, Dawn, you fell out of us 2 or 3 times. You know what? It's messy. But so what? And
Mm-hmm.
this is what communication is: understanding the medium, which is it's not perfect, and understanding, I'll go right back to the human level, understanding the other person, that you may agree, disagree, like, not like. It doesn't really matter. To communicate with one another, we have to understand, we have to be empathetic, we have to learn and grow. And we grow all the time. So I'm consistently growing and learning, and I ain't dead yet. I keep on going.
Yeah, I love that. There's even data out there that says consumers, people that are watching video prefer more raw, authentic video over overly produced video. So, I mean, that just
Exactly.
goes back to, being genuine and being real.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think you make great points because it is authenticity. It is realness, if that were word. So Beverly, being as authentic as you are, how does that project to your audience, and how does it listen?
I missed the last few words, but how does that project to my audience is where it was caught off, but I hope authentically.
Well, I think that has so much value because people want to be real with real people in real time, having real conversations, because so many people have been isolated, have been insulated, and especially since COVID. So, Lori, what adjustments have you made over time that continue to benefit you in your communication strategy?
Yeah, I think what's really important is to listen and to really understand and try to put myself in the other person's shoes to really get inside what the way they're thinking and the way they're processing and understanding information. So sometimes I refer to this as like peeling the onion. If that means I have to ask more questions because I'm not understanding what they're communicating to me and I asking questions in a different way, I think that's really important. But then I also like to communicate the way that I heard it in a different way to make sure that we're all on the same page, which will then allow us to move forward and achieve whatever that greater picture goal is that we're trying to achieve. I've also really taken the stance of being my true authentic self anywhere and everywhere I possibly can be. Sometimes that gets me in trouble. I'll admit that because I'm a A+ type personality and just go straight, get it done, driver. And to your point, Beverly, empathy is very important and understanding that not everyone is that type of person. So sometimes I need to slow down and realize that I function differently than other people do. I consume information differently than other people do. And therefore, I think it's really important to be aware of how and try to put myself in the other person's shoes, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. You really have to meet people where they're at, and also connect with everybody. And the other aspect is it does take time. We're planting seeds now. We're going to be talking to people in the future we will never meet or know, but we'll continue to listen to this broadcast, and how much we can learn. Right? So collectively, we're much stronger than being separate or independent of each other. And I think that really shines through because people have so many choices now with their time that you have to earn their trust. You have to create a safe environment where people are free to express themselves in the way they feel most comfortable. And, when people feel better, they usually continue to do whatever it was that made them feel better. So, there's a combination I heard earlier on that the only three things you can offer is education, entertainment, or inspiration, or a combination of all three. Right? So every time I say that, the noise gets in. How do you take advantage of entertainment and education?
Okay. Once again, you were perfect until you're asking me a question. And then so I think I kind of heard it. How do I take? Well, first of all, I believe that if anyone is watching a screen, any screen, okay, it has to have some entertainment value, or we are not going to watch it. Period. Okay. Um, Even the news, and I say even the news, where you have these talking heads, and when you have the talking heads, one is trying to out talk the other one, whatever. If you're, whatever it is, they are getting the ratings. Well, it's the same thing here. When we are talking to people, we hope that we give value. But if you're not coming to a lecture here, we could give you real value if you came to a lecture or if we were teaching. But everything that we're doing is just to provide a little bit of insight. And then you can follow through and make your own decisions or Google something and, get the creative juices going. So I think everything should be kind of like infotainment when it's online. You know, it should be fun. It should be lighthearted. It should not be heavy. Nobody wants to hear that. And so that for me, when I'm telling stories or whatever it is, it has a message. And we tell stories with message and we get an understanding of message. And I'd like to also kind of piggyback on your point, Lori, when you're talking about the feedback that we have to give others in communication. I think that that is so important because when we're giving feedback, the other person feels that they're heard. People love to talk, but usually you're thinking what you have to say to respond rather than to actually hear what the other person is saying.
Yep.
So in any communication, whether it's with a partner, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with a client, what you do is you have to listen and then give feedback because you may not be actually hearing what they really want to say. You may be thinking what you wanted to think or trying already to convince them of your point of view. And then what happens is you're serving no purpose. The communication goes south. So this is where feedback is important, understanding, and as you said, empathy, because communication takes two people, although a lot of us just talk to ourselves. But the communication, it really means we have to get on the other person's wavelength as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Lori, how do you take that and move it to the next level?
Let's see. I agree with the feedback. We call it the feedback loop. Just confirming and acknowledgement. I've also heard of it referred to as when you're giving some directive to someone, calling it 3+ing, where you're asking the same question but three different ways, and confirming that the individual understands the true intent of everything, but also it embeds it in their memory because of the 3 times that you're addressing it to them. So I think that's a really important component with regards to communication. One of the things that two things I want to address from an employer standpoint. So I have 7 team members on my team. And because, as I alluded to earlier, I'm a driver, kind of get things done mentality type of person. And sometimes when I'm giving feedback, I'm just like, here's the feedback, move on to the next thing. And I forget they're like, okay, they may not want to have received the feedback that way. So when I'm onboarding new team members, I tell them, this is how I give feedback. But if you don't like feedback that way, then you need to give me feedback on how you prefer to receive the feedback. So that keeps a stronger relationship with the team, and the team knows then that, and I've had some people tell me, like, I don't like the way that you just kind of give me the information. Maybe take this approach with me, but now I know that this is how I can better serve and communicate with them. There was another one, and I forgot what it was going to be, so we could circle back to that.
Okay, that's a good thing about live, is there's always another opportunity.
Yep.
Well, Beverly, how do you take what we do here and follow up and expand on it individually with people?
I ask. It's really very simple. Don't keep what you're thinking in your head, and often people tend to do that.
Mhm.
It's like, what would they think if I asked them that question? So what you're doing is you're thinking for the other person. Well, don't do that. If you have a question, ask. And another thing also, Dawn, keep it simple.
Mhm.
We have a tendency of elaborating. So once we start elaborating, people start losing interest. And like you said, Lori, we have different types of communication and different ways we communicate.
Mhm.
Some people are very assertive and they're going to say the way it is. And the other person may really resent that because that's not their style at all. And they can think that you're too aggressive, and they can actually be hurt by it. So what it is in communicating is to say what you feel. And I'm glad your team member, would mention that, because if you're keeping all this inside, what happens is you build resentment. So there's also this passive kind of behavior where everything is fine, but then it's not fine, and you're holding resentment. And then there are people that are just passive, and then they just take and take and take, and then go into tears, and you have no idea what's going on. So to communicate and say how you feel and keep it simple and not to be afraid of expressing yourself is really a key to any kind of communication, whether it's at work or whether it's at home. Don't read the other person. Don't, because you can't. Only that other person knows what they're thinking. So feel free to be able to express yourself, ask, and if they resent it, well, I'm sorry you feel that way because I didn't mean it. So apologize, but be there, be present, be understanding, and then, communication becomes very, very easy depending on what that other person is. If it's a match, it's great. But even with an assertive person and you're not assertive, calm down, relax. That's just their style. Don't take things personally.
Yeah, I think that kind of follows with empathy, with lack of judgment or presumption. Too many people are solving puzzles before they buy some vowels. And why not play it safe and you never know where you're going to change your mind instead of trying to change other people's minds.
Hmm.
And if it's all in for each other and for each other, then no one feels threatened. No one feels intimidated. There's too many people that stand on the stage and create a divide between them and the audience instead of stepping off the stage and joining the audience and being one of them and not having all that responsibility, because you can't do this over time if you're stressing to do it. It's you got your own true voice, and that's what needs to be heard. And everybody needs to be as forgiving to everybody as they want to be forgiven.
Hmm.
So if you're going to make a mistake, then it's just human, and it's just being a person, and it's not overthinking or overdoing. It's just being part of the flow and promoting and supporting that. So Lori, what special keys? I know you ask questions to the audience, but how do you continue to make small changes that create big opportunities as you go?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it kind of triggered what the second thing was that I was going to say earlier. So that thank you for that. One of the things that I practice whenever I teach a workshop, I didn't really share that with the audience quite yet, but I've taught at our local university. I've taught B2B sales and marketing, principles of marketing, and I teach for a national organization. I teach other folks that are in kind of more of an executive account management role how to be better at their job. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. What I'm talking about is what I do after I give some sort of a presentation. I ask this question. I said, next time I teach this course, what can I do more of, less of, or differently? And I take the feedback, as we were talking about, and I like, is there a trend with this information? Okay, there is. Then I will implement it into the next time I teach the course. And I always open with that too. The experience you had today was likely because of the feedback that I received from past people that attended and participated in this workshop. So I think you can do that with anything, not just teaching, but doing a podcast interview or a project within your organization, but just asking that simple question. Next time I do this, what can I do more of, less of, or differently?
Makes perfect sense. Beverly, how do you?
Yeah,
I know it's hard to hear. Um, seems like when I talk,
it's fun.
but anyways, how do you continue to show positive, constructive improvement over time?
It's exactly the same way. I change, I listen.
Mm-hmm.
And your audience will always give you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just think of the great marketers like Amazon, they will always ask for criticism and reviews. And those reviews are always good. Whether it's a good review or whether it's a bad review, somebody is going to get some value out of it. And that's the reason for asking. And it's the same on the podcast, when people are leaving reviews. It's really great, but you're also going to be learning what did you need to pick up on, and what you're learning from what other people's experiences are. And I think that that's important. Be humble. We don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we can all learn from someone else. And so the only way to get better is to ask, what do you need? It's always, what do you need? What do you need more of? What can we do better? And ask my team, how are we working? What did we do wrong? What are we doing right that we can improve on? And this is the way our world is today, because we're moving so fast that if you're not on top of the game, you're on the bottom of the heap. It's just like that. You can disappear in a heartbeat
Mm-hmm.
because everything is moving so fast, and you will be replaced, whether it's in the job, wherever you are. We're all expendable, and we all know it. And so the only thing that I believe makes us different from AI and a bot is our humanity,
Mm-hmm.
and that is our communication. Because I don't know about you, but I get very frustrated talking to bots, and some of them are very good, particularly Apple. Okay, they're incredible when you talk to those Mac bots. But other than but seriously, it's our humanity that's making us different, And it's all about how we communicate one-on-one. And this is why when I always ask clients or potential clients, just give me a call on, it's not only whether you want to work with me or not. It doesn't matter. If I can help you, please just give me a call. 15 minutes. It's no big deal. No skin off my neck. It's like, it's there. I set times for that. And that's what I believe that we should all do. And it doesn't matter what business you're in. Put space there for other people. We are all there to serve. It doesn't matter what we do. It's all about service. I believe that.
Yeah, I think that follows suit with what, Bob Berg, who was here, who wrote the Go Giver books. Um, it was always investing, giving first, being proactive. So how do you take the initiative, Lori, when it comes to giving and being proactive?
Oh, I interviewed Bob Berg a long time ago as well. I love his book and his philosophy. And I am a big giver, honestly. Whenever there's any opportunity to support and help, and if I have the capacity and capability to do it, I will. And I very much believe, if someone's name pops in my head, which sometimes it's like I haven't talked to this person in 3 years, I'll reach out, even if it's just a quick text to say, hey, how's it going? Or if this made me think of you, just wanted to check in, see how it's going. So sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's an article, a funny meme, but sometimes it's bigger than that. I had a conversation this morning with a gal who I'm, potentially doing some business with, and we kind of went on a little tangent because I'm like, this is a book that you should definitely read. I think it'd be extremely helpful to you. And what I'm going to do now is send her a copy of that book because I believe it is going to be something. She didn't ask for that. She didn't ask for my advice on a book to read next. I'm just like, but I believe this is going to help her, so I'm going to go out of my way and send her something that'll help her out.
Well, sounds great, and I think it's being aware and open to the truth that people provide to you. And I know Beverly's a big giver and a generous when it comes to her time. So what comes out of these 15-minute calls typically that you provide?
Well, usually when people call for just a 15-minute call, they are stuck somewhere. And because that's the reason for reaching out. And so I listen. Okay. And within 15 minutes, yeah, I can do the Dr. Phil thing, cut to the chase and give you what you need. It doesn't work like that. Okay. I do I can suggest different ways of doing other things. If it's something that they really need more help with, I literally say, why don't you try this and then get back to me and see how it works? I'm all for that. It's okay. My slots are specifically arranged for 15 minutes because I don't have more than that for just a call. But I can usually see, some people say I'm psychic, or some people will also say, do you know these people? It's like, because I kind of can get, I understand the behavior behind the behavior. I mean, I've been trained that way. So what happens is I can read different dynamics and what people are saying. So I could do it pretty simply in 15 minutes is plenty of time for me. Can I seal and make it magically happen in 15 minutes? No. Okay. But I can say, maybe this is missing, or try that, or maybe you need this, or whatever. And if they want to speak to me again, I will be open to that too, depending on what they need. But what you need, what you can always get within 15 minutes is relief. That's for sure. And I've heard that many times, hey, just by me verbalizing it with somebody, and it took less than 15 minutes even to do it, that you just really helped me out. You didn't really need the strategies. But, and yeah, of course I'll give you strategies, but they're the ones that have to kind of figure that out or call me again. But 15 minutes, absolutely. I schedule pretty well almost every day, not every day in my schedule because I don't have it, but almost every day, where you can just kind of reach out if it works with your schedule and, get that off your chest. And I love doing it. it's my pleasure.
Well, and I think one of the keys is really allowing people to express themselves, right? To share their feelings or interests or concerns, and having someone who is empathetic listening. How do you take that and create more opportunities for your audience?
Yeah, so I do discovery calls for individuals, and I'll do some coaching consulting, but primarily I'm really understanding the ins and outs of what is the biggest pain that they solve for their customers, and how can we best leverage that with communication to attract the right fit customers to their organization. So during that discovery call, I just want to best understand them, their goals, their objectives, who their audience is, who their competition is. And all I'm doing is listening. I'm just listening. And sometimes I do the peeling of the onion questions to go a little bit further, like I talked about. But once I listen and hear, then I can really pinpoint where, if first, is there an opportunity for me to help you based on what I've learned from you? And if there is, what path do I feel is the best path for us to potentially work together? And that's really how my initial conversation is simply asking questions and listening to everything that they're saying.
Sounds great. Beverly, how do you build on that?
How do I build on that? To build on that, it's all about listening, and that's what I think is the most important part of communication. Communication isn't just talking; it's listening. It's understanding. It's being empathetic with the next person. It's trying to understand where they're coming from. It's also to understand, we never touched on it, which is body language, which is so important, because often it's what we don't say that other people see that turn us off immediately.
Yeah.
So this is something that everybody should watch also. Are you relaxed? Or are you already ready to attack? Do you have the hand motions that other people are noticing that are putting them off, and they're not going to want to say what they have to say?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to be open. You have to be able to be inviting. You have to be able to allow the space where the other person feels comfortable to be able to say what they want to say. And that's communication. And that's whether it's in business, as you were saying, Lori, you want to hear what the potential client has to say, or what you want to say to your child, or grandchild. How many parents are just allowing their children, because of our busy lives, to just play or be on the computer and not listening when they start coming running, mommy, 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 look at this. It's like immediately they know, well, I don't have to go to mommy. She doesn't care. Like supper is more important than I am. And that's the point. Okay. It's to listen, to turn around, to stop stirring that pot.
Mm-hmm.
What is really important? And it's the other human being on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's getting that know, like, and trust factor from a client, or getting that know, like, and trust factor from people that are more important to you than that client, which would be your partner, your children, the people that matter in your life. And that's what communication is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Listening as well as talking.
Sounds terrific. Great insights and advice. I know Melissa Houston has commented and want to recognize her. She does a great show on Saturdays. You've been on before. Lori, we're coming up on top of the hour. What's the takeaways from today?
I just loved a lot of what Beverly talked about. I think there's a lot of synergies, and we agree on how communication is all about listening first and being empathetic about the other individual, and that asking questions, not just any questions, but asking smart questions that are going to help to get everyone on the same page.
Perfect. And Beverly, I know this is one of many, and I've seen you grow and really evolve in so many wonderful ways just because of the conversations we had, but more importantly, the conversations you shared with co-hosts and the audience. Um, how do you see your growth going forward?
I totally missed that. I only saw your lips moving.
Have to watch the tape.
Yeah. What was the last question?
Probably didn't have one,
No,
but
it's coming in.
anyway, just laughing and joking as far as your evolution with the show, with what you're doing, and
Oh,
what you really
sure.
look forward to going forward.
Well, first of all, the show is wonderful. The people, the audience is really terrific. You know what it is I have met so many wonderful people here. It was a pleasure to meet you, Lori. We've done so many shows, Dawn. The evolution of the show has been wonderful. The changes that we've all been doing and going through, and this is wonderful about. This is so great about doing live anything. You change and you have every day there's another advantage to make another change, and that's what we have been doing all the time, and just keep on growing. And so what do I see? I see we just continue to keep on growing, and I'm hoping that the audience gets the value that we are hoping to give you. And yes, and as far as I'm concerned, I love to share my podcast. I'm going to say it again, Aging with Purpose and Passion, or my newsletter, or to contact me on reinventimpossible.com, for those 15 minutes or whatever you need. And contact Dawn. And if you're interested in being on this show, absolutely, there's an opportunity for you too, because what we're doing is to be able to reach out to more people, to reach out and continue to reach out, because it's a big world out there, and LinkedIn just alone is huge. And so I hope we've all provided value for today. One tip only: keep your communication simple. No excuses. Don't have to say
Love
yes, but
Yep. Love that.
say it simple. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you,
beautiful
Dawn, for the
advice.
opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And, being you is not always easy, but once you get comfortable with yourself, it allows other people to get comfortable with you.
Hmm.
And, it's the long haul, the marathon, not the sprint. So, Lori, is there anything else you'd like to share and promote with what you're doing, what's coming up in your life?
Yeah, sure. So, if you want to connect with me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn as well. Lori Highby, easy to find, follow, connect. Or again, my two podcasts are Social Capital and A Broadcast for Manufacturers. And my business is Keystone Click. So happy to connect. Happy to answer any questions around marketing, networking, communications. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, it's my pleasure, and you more than hit the mark today. You way overachieved, and so happy to have you with Beverly as a trio today. One of the real benefits is being a master connector. You bring people together who might not have met any other way. So to bring them together peer to peer. Sorry so much for the technical issues I've been having today. Definitely will check into my equipment. But with that said, I want to thank Beverly, want to thank Lori, want to thank the audience, and look forward to seeing everybody in 23 hours if possible. Carl Dakin will be here, our funding guy, great gentleman. He does his show an hour before mine. And then doing this will be Harvey's show and Kelly's show. So with that said, really respect top of hour. Hope everybody has a beautiful day. And again, thank you, Lori.